ICC Profiles, and talking about embedding profiles, can you just in a base level explain what an ICC profile will do for people who are watching along today?
Absolutely. Catherine? So really this tool is just for you to check to see, is there anything out of gamut in my file? Now keep in mind, first we need to make sure that your monitor is dialed into our printing output, otherwise it may not show accurately. Once you're dialed in, pull up the ICC profile and see, do you have any color that is just not going to be replicated once printed? So really bright, vibrant colors tend to print more muted or a little bit darker just because of the limitations on the printing process.
Right. And when people talk about embedding profiles into the files that are coming to WHCC, what does that mean?
So your color space should be set to either sRGB or Adobe RGB. This is really going to let the printer know what color it needs to print, essentially, if I'm really gonna get down to the nitty-gritty of it. That's all it's really gonna be doing.
So let's just say somebody doesn't embed a profile. What happens then?
They could have a color mismatch. So maybe something comes out darker or kind of maybe flat or moodier, muddier. That's usually what happens.
Okay. So do you, as a veteran CS rep, have a recommendation of which profile is best? Is there one better than the other?
I would say there's not really one that's better than the other. It's more personal preference. However, Adobe RGB is a wider color gamut. So that's what we use for all of our sizing templates. And that's why when you download those, you will see that that color space is already embedded.
Okay. One more question, and then we'll move on to our awesome product discussion here. When you think of soft proofing, what does that mean? Can you explain that to us?
I mean, soft proofing is really just taking your file, bringing it into Photoshop, and checking to see how is this going to be replicated once printed. That's really the basics of it.
Okay.
To see, what does that color look like? Is it going to be replicated or is it out of gamut?
Yep, for sure. Okay, so then for profiles that are available, you're going to show us where those are at, but what are the papers that people can get those profiles in to compare?
Yeah, so those are only going to be available for our photo luster and our photo deep matte. And we can show you right on the website here where you can locate those.
Okay, let's do it to it.
Awesome. So you're at WHCC.com. You're going to hover over ordering, and then you're going to go to sizing templates and downloads. Once you're on that page, you're going to scroll down through the templates here, and towards the bottom, here are those soft proofing and ICC profiles that you can download.
So we have a luster profile for 1218 for 1620 and larger, and then our deep matte.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any specific tips or tricks that you can recommend to people watching along that haven't ever used this before?
I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is just, again, making sure your monitor is first dialed in. That's the most important part. Because otherwise, if you're using these and your monitor is not dialed in, it's not going to show you accurately. So once you're dialed in, using those profiles and just really checking to see, is there anything that's not gonna, that you don't like about that print? Is it a really nice, bright, vibrant yellow, but it's gonna print more muted and darker? Do you need to do any tweaks? And just making sure that you're, using those just as a proof. You don't wanna save it in your file for printing.
Absolutely. And we're gonna dive into this here in the next segment, but understanding choosing the right surface for the image that you're trying to print. I'm sure that you've taken a lot of calls. I've talked to countless people, and they have a print. They're like, well, what would this look best on?
Right.
That fits the mood of the print, that fits the color, that fits the subject, all those things. And in our next segment, we're going to dive into, what did you say? It used to be ABC, and now it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like the whole alphabet. There's a ton of different options out there, and making sure that you're choosing the select product that has the gamut range, the color range, to really capture that is really, really important.
Absolutely. It's going to enhance your work.
Absolutely.
So.